He's here now.
Do you want to go up to the first? Do you want to use them? Do that? You want manager on, please?
Yes, sure. Okay.
I think we can start, guys. Can I go ahead for? Oh, great. Thanks for your time, John. Talk to Steve in a moment. First of all, your reaction to being an Aston Villa player.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, delighted to be here as a player. It's obviously a huge club, and a few conversations with Steve over the summer that's kind of got me here as well. But listen, first and foremost, delighted to play. I'm very hungry to still play at the top. And with a team that's got the same ambition as me, and the management that's got the same ambition as me, is to win and get promoted. So that's why I'm at Aston Villa.
So tell us how it came about. Did you have Aston Villa in your mind even before the end of last season?
Well, to be fair, with things going, till the end at Chelsea, it was, I put everything to the side, and a lot of managers were respectful of that. But it was kind of bubbling once the season finished, phone calls, text messages, and then obviously bumped into Steve in Portugal as well. Listen, I've got huge respect for him as a player, as a person, as a man as well. The way he's dealt with me personally and professionally has been great, and a key factor of me joining.
And obviously played the same position. At either end of your careers, did you ever come up against each other?
No.
So what did he do to persuade you, apart from the fact that obviously this is a club with, got pedigree in the Premier League and it's built for the Premier League?
Well, I think the club speaks for itself, being out there on the stadium, the pitch, the fans, been on the receiving end of the fans as well. And listen, I've got great support here. I think it's a club that deserves to be in the Premier League, and that's the ambition of not only myself but everyone else sat here today as well. So that sells itself, and then obviously Steve being Steve has persuading me to come. And listen, I'm delighted because I still want to continue playing. I'm 36, that hunger's still there, to win and fight, week in, week out. So that's my reason.
You obviously had offers, as you've mentioned there, from other clubs. Some of those we understand in the Premier League. Why did you decide not to stay in the Premier League?
Yeah, there was a lot of managers that I'll be respectful and won't kind of name teams, but I thank them for their approach and their offers. But for me, it was just that, the mental side against playing against Chelsea, was just too much to kind of get over for me. It was 22 years at the football club and 22 unbelievable years. So I'm very proud of that, but this is a new chapter in my life and my career. I wish Chelsea well next season and obviously be watching out, but my thoughts are 100% here, and and the ambition is to get us back to the Premier League.
It's a one-year deal. What about after that?
I think we'll see. Listen, the idea for me and the ideal situation would be to get in the Premier League. Again, that's why I'm here. I believe we've got a squad of players that can do so. I know the league, very well, watching from afar over the years. It's a tough league. It's going to be a tough league to get out of. But as I said, we have a squad of players, a manager and the club with ambition, and the owner as well, to really push and get us back in the Premier League.
If you are successful, and you do help Villa back to the Premier League, that gives you another problem, doesn't it? Because you won't want to play in the Premier League against Chelsea.
Listen, if that's the ideal situation, in a year's time we're sitting here and Aston Villa are back in the Premier League, then I've done my job and everyone else has done theirs as well. So I think we can cross that bridge hopefully when we come to it. But first and foremost, we've got a big and important year ahead of us.
Am I right in thinking your first ever game in the first team for Chelsea was against Aston Villa?
Yeah, my debut was against Aston Villa, 97, 98.
Full circle?
Full circle, yeah. It's crazy, football's crazy how it kind of works, but as I said before, the ambition for me to continue playing, some people will understand and some people won't, but I want to keep playing. I'm in good physical condition. I didn't play too many games last year. And I'm ready to play and give it everything for this year.
You spoke there about last year. How frustrating was it last year, and what's your message to Chelsea fans?
Well, not frustrating at all. We had an unbelievable season, and whether I was kind of on the bench or in the stand, I was fully supportive of the team and the management, and wish them well, because it's going to be even tougher kind of next season to retain it. We've seen that the history of the Premier League kind of speaks for itself anyway. But naturally, wish them well, and we'll always look out. Chelsea's my club, but I'm here. I'm ready to fight for the Villa shirt and fight for this football club.
What does it say about Aston Villa and the club's ambitions? They've got the former England captain and former Chelsea captain here, and in a way, they were his first choice. What's your message to the Villa fans?
Well, I think to get behind not only myself but the team. As I said before, I've been on the receiving end and come here on some really tough away games over the years. They're great and they can play a big part next year. We don't expect that to be a given. We need to put in performances as a group of players to kind of win them and gain their trust, and to get behind us and push us where we feel and I feel. And again, I'll touch on the ambition side of where we want to be, and that's back in the Premier League.
And it's solely a playing role. There's no. I know you're doing your badges. There's no coaching involved.
No, nothing at all. Solely playing, and but obviously I'm looking to learn from the likes of Steve by the side of me, Steve Round, who played a part in this as well. Who I've coached with and played under at England as well. So a lot of them factors to hopefully serve me well in the future. Because listen, I can't continue playing forever. But whilst I'm in still good physical condition, I still want to continue playing.
Steve, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Of course.
How delighted are you, and how hard was it to get this fella here?
Well, of course, it was going to be difficult. We knew that from the offset. I had a conversation with Keith and Steve some 2 months ago that, can we go and try and make it happen? And they both give me the green light to try and make it happen. And of course, we've had to beat off a bit of competition. But I think the main thing was John and his will to play. He wants to play. And I just reiterated that to him, that you're a long time retired. You've still got a lot to offer. And it's a huge acquisition for all of us here, and sends out a message of intent that if we can, and so is the size of the club we've got, that we can attract John to come and play, which is one of these great stadiums.
You spoke there about message of intent, and we're always knows it's not about business, but we think this makes John the highest ever paid player in the Championship. Would that be?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know that, but he's certainly the most decorated. So when you're the most decorated and you've got the colour of John Terry, then you'll ultimately cost a fair few quid, which is understandable, but worth every penny, because we know what he brings. It's not often you get a natural leader of men these days, and certainly John has been that over the years. And I've watched him from afar for a long time now, and to get him here is a great coup for all of us, because of what he'll give to the club.
And obviously you could have come to Birmingham with another club. Harry Redknapp was keen to sign you as well. Did you have chats with Harry?
Well, again, I think out of respect to all the clubs and managers interested, I wouldn't do that to them, and I'd like to think they wouldn't do the same to me as well. So just out of respect to all the football clubs that, I'm here, I'm an Aston Villa player, and I'm very excited by it.
Congratulations, mate. Thanks for your help today.
Cheers, thank you.
John, Steve's touched upon it there, your role here at the football club. A lot of young players, a lot of players who maybe need that experience and that guidance that you can bring to the squad. What's he said to you about that side of things?
Well, I think, he said to me that we have got a young squad, with a few experienced players within that group. But it's important, for me to maybe play a role like I've always done, to be there to support and guide. But I think first and foremost, I think the quality's there, within the group, having looked at that myself, spoken to Steve and the management here. We have a good set of players capable of getting back to the Premier League. So hopefully with my guidance and, a little bit what I can offer on the training field, match day, that experience, can be a good combination for us all.
Just looking at the Villa situation from afar, as obviously you did from the Chelsea perspective, are you surprised to see a club of Aston Villa's stature where they are?
Well, I am, because I think when you walk in the training ground, the stadium today, it's a huge club. As I said before, I've kind of come here with Chelsea over the years, and a real hostile place to come. always had some big teams and big players here in the dressing rooms. You know, and I think from everyone outside of here, you know, we're looking to get back to the Premier League, and I think, you know, where we sit today in the stadium is where it belongs as a football club. You know, they've had a couple of years transition, but the idea and the best situation will be for us to be back competing against the very best.
I just sense that your appetite for the game is as strong at 36 as maybe it was when you started off all those years ago with Chelsea.
It's still there, that fire's still in the belly, and whilst that's there, as Steve touched upon there, you know, a lot of kind of ex-players that I spoke to, you know, you are a long time retired, and, you know, whilst that hunger and that fight's still there within, you know, I'll continue to play and give everything.
Steve, of all the signings you've made during your football career, where does the signing of JT sit?
Well, it's arguably the biggest. You know, when you look at what he's done and what he's achieved and what he's done in his career, then, you know, we'd love to be signing him when he was 26, not 36, I have to say. But physically, I've seen him train only 10 days ago. Physically, he's in fantastic shape for someone of his age. So that doesn't bother us at all. And as I've said repeatedly, it's what he can bring to the dressing room and the whole football club that, you know, it's a statement of intent of getting someone of his calibre to come and be a player that we all know he is.
Has it needed the big sell from you to tempt him out of the Premier League?
Not really. It's obviously we've had many conversations, but most of it was about playing and enjoy playing the last few years of your career. I mean, you know, I think he can still go on beyond this year, but that's going to be probably John's intent after that. Certainly, when I look back over the years, you know, I think a lot of people have retired a little bit too early, and John's been fortunate that he hasn't had a great deal of injuries in his career, and as I've said, he's looked after himself. And even when he beat me at golf, he only drank a half a shandy, which I found a little bit. So we're delighted that he's here. We're delighted that he's chose to come here, and he'll be a great asset to us.
What do you think the Villa players will make of
Well, I knew there was a
John's
bit of excitement amongst them too, because it's not often when a big player of his calibre walks through the door and can only help the dressing room. And a lot of the younger players, what we've got, will certainly look up to him and learn from him and learn how to handle themselves. So, in all of the stuff that goes with him, you know, the chase have been 2 months really. It's been well worth it because of what he'll give us.
And from the supporters' perspective here?
Well, I think they'll be excited as what we all are. You know, it's not often you can get a player of John's calibre coming to play for you, and I'm sure they'll be delighted to welcome him aboard and help us get out the division and where we want to get to, because, you know, we all know that we ought to be in the other division, and signing people like John will certainly help us get there.
Could I just ask one question of Keith as well? Sure. Keith, from the board's point of view and yourself as instrumental in making this deal happen, is it a deal that you thought may never happen because of the sheer enormity of it?
I don't think it was the sheer enormity. I think it was just the interest from other very big clubs, obviously, was something that we were very aware of. But when I sat back and looked at it, I thought it was perfect for John, because with Steve Rand, Steve Bruce, the way the club's moving forward, it's the perfect time for him to come and to learn about the next stage in his career as well. So those things worked very well in our favour. And I think it is the right time, and we are the right club in the right place for all parties concerned. So when those pieces all start to fit together, I realised we could actually get it done.
This signing will set alarm bells ringing amongst quite a few championship clubs, won't it? In a very competitive division.
It is a competitive division, and we're going to try and get out of the traps quickly and make a statement. Obviously, this is what it's all about. It's a competitive league, but we want to be the most competitive. And this is a major statement, as Steve and John have said.
Steve, can I just ask, you did a very similar thing as a player yourself, dropping down to come to Blues. Mm. Does it give you a new lease of life as a player dropping down that level? Or is it sort of difficult to adjust, having no disrespect to lesser calibre of player around you?
I think the big thing is when you've been challenging for things like John has all his career, then it's a big difficulty that to be in a relegation battle, for example, then it becomes very, very difficult. So I made a similar step to John, was a club that was trying to find its way on the up, and trying to be successful and trying to achieve a promotion. I think that was key for me back 20 years ago, whenever it was, and I think it's been a bit similar to John too.
And at that time there were a few big name Premier League players that came into Blues at the same time. Is that something you could look at to add experience and meaning that John's not the last?
Well, I very quickly learned that, you know, to go with expectation, and the club that it is needs big players to play here and perform. And I think that's the big challenge to the squad that we've got. I've got no qualms with John because he's played at the very highest level. And but that's the one thing I've noticed and learnt over the 6 months I've been here, was there's a big expectation at this club. Big expectation demands big players, and the bigger player they are, then they're able to perform at the top level, and that's what we're looking for.
Any budget there?
Do you know, in all of this, money wasn't the real issue. I have to be fair to that, to John. It was all about the next step in his career. You know, we talked about coaching and how he can help us, and if he wants to do his badges, if he wants to go into management. You know, it was all to do about football, really. Money was never really mentioned, and that's the truth of it. So, you know, we hope that we can be a good step for John. I'm sure and convinced him that it is the right step for him in many ways of his last couple of years in playing or coaching or managing wherever he wants to go in. We can help him do all of those things.
John, it's Phil from PA. Just one from me for you. You've had pressure for the last 20 years. I guess this is a different kind of pressure now, isn't it?
Well, for me, I'd strip it back. I think it's time for me to start again, and kind of I'm walking into a dressing room, you know, where I have to set my marker. You know, people are going to be looking, but you know, we spoke about what people are going to kind of learn from me. I'm expecting to learn a lot from the group of players, a lot from Steve, you know, and the guys around me, to take in my next step in whether that be 2, 3, 4 years. But I'm looking to learn from this group of players. But first and foremost, you earn that respect from everyone by showing what you can do on the football pitch. You know, it's very important. I go in, you know, to training later on this afternoon to meet the guys in Portugal. That, you know, I set that, and that message is clear from day one, that I'm here to play, I'm here to win. You know, you mentioned, you know, it wasn't a financial decision. If that was the case, I certainly wouldn't be here. You know, I could have played in the Premier League and had offers from other Premier League clubs with a lot more money, or other continents. I'm here because, you know, the hunger's the exact same as mine, and the ambition, and that's to win this league and get us back to the Premier League.
Sorry, one more. I know you don't want to name clubs, but do you have offers from places like China?
Just all over, really. You know, not only in the UK but abroad as well. But as I said, when I spoke to Steve and sat down, you know, we had a good conversation, and the owner and everyone involved with the club, the ambitions were the same as mine, to win week in, week out, and fight at the very top, you know, and push this club where we feel and I feel, you know, it deserves to be.
Anything else you want to break out? Okay, we're going to go into the stand for a photo opportunity. Tom will lead cameraman and photographers there, then we'll break up into the